Does Russia have a nuclear submarine that can crumble Washington, D.C. in a single swoop? The answer is yes. That's why the United States of America is in a state of panic right now. The Russian Belgorod submarine is around 604 feet long, making it the largest submarine on the planet. In addition, the submarine features a radioactive tsunami capable of generating a Poseidon torpedo. In this video, we'll get to its full capacity, but before getting into further details, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Military Technology Updates channel. Underwater supremacy. The Russian Belgorod submarine was designed officially under Project 09852. The original development of the machine came from the Oscar II class cruise missile submarine. As you might expect, it was developed as a special mission submarine, and the result? The water displacement of the nuclear submarine is 50% greater than America's Ohio-class submarines. Russia and the United States have been at each other's throats for years, even before the Cold War. They compete over air, land, and underwater superiority. While the US seems to have the upper hand regarding air superiority, for now, Russia is superior underwater, all thanks to this gigantic submarine. How big is it, you might ask? The Belgorod submarine is so big that the Russians can hide a small submarine and a state-of-the-art drone for covert missions. Imagine the potential damage such a combination could cause if a war should ever break out. With the unstable tensions over the Ukraine invasion, the world is left in panic mode, especially with the news of this submarine's arrival. This submarine has a total weight of 14,700 tons. Despite its incredibly large size, the Russian engineers did the design in such a way that enemies would not easily detect it. Thanks to its nuclear power, the submarine can power itself anywhere in the world. Among its more deadly features is the Poseidon torpedo, which is an atomic bomb and artificial intelligence. There's no debating Belgorod's capacity to cause a catastrophe in any major city in the world. This is why some describe it as a war map-changing submarine. Where is the submarine deployed? Russia's Belgorod submarine is part of the Russian naval fleet located in the Pacific Ocean. Reports revealed that it's possible to cut the internet cable under the sea with the help of a powerful machine. This will sever the country's connectivity with the rest of the world. As stated by a news agency in Russia, the final test of this submarine is done, and it's complete. The agency also discovered that the nuclear submarine is expected to be delivered to the Russian Navy this year. As you can imagine, the timing's not so helpful for Russian adversaries because there's no telling what damage the Russian submarine can do. Interestingly, America also has a naval base in the same ocean. In fact, both bases are believed to be quite close. In addition to many large US cities, like Los Angeles, are also located next to this maritime area. So naturally, all this leaves a bad taste in the mouth of every world leader because things can get very quickly out of hand. News of Russia's preparations with the super destructive weapon could not have come at a worse time with the tensions between US and NATO countries and Russia. America and NATO nations have refused to quit supplying weapons to Ukraine despite several warnings from Russia. Now Russia has stationed its soldiers, missiles, robotic tanks, and other weapons on the border with Ukraine. World War III is looming at every corner, but these two rivals won't back down. Russia, for its part, is ready to evolve its supreme weapon. The Belgorod submarine can dive into the ocean to a depth of 1,700 feet. How incredible is that? Only a handful of submarines from across the world can go to such depth. Moreover, since the nuclear submarine has such a capacity, enemy's countries' sonars and radars will find detecting the machine in its waters very difficult. Therefore, if the submarine was to enter American waters, it could be an arduous task for the US Navy to detect it. How powerful is this submarine? For starters, it can attack with 2 megaton atomic bombs simultaneously. How does it do that? The torpedoes featured on it are capable of carrying the megaton nuclear warheads. These megaton atomic bombs can generate 130 times greater power than the atomic bomb dropped by the US on Japan, Hiroshima. Just imagine that for a second. The Nagasaki and the Hiroshima events were so devastating that the world has remained stuck on them for years. Yet, here's a bomb that would do the same damage 130 times over being released amidst Russian-Ukraine tension. So, here's a machine that's large enough to carry bombs that can destroy entire cities and another submarine within itself. It can also dive deep enough to enter non-territorial waters without detection. Simply put, many things can go sour for NATO and the United States if tensions in Ukraine escalate. America can do damage, and Russia, with this weapon, can do as much damage with this gigantic submarine. Other submarine types. During the Cold War, Typhoon-class submarines were the famous underwater monsters and represented the largest submarines built. Reports stated that it had a mission to wage nuclear war against the United States and its NATO allies. Several Russian sources revealed that a submerged Typhoon class displaces about 48,000 tons. To get an idea of how incredible that is, consider this. The largest submarine in America's arsenal, the vaunted Ohio class, displaces just 19,000 tons. That means the Typhoon is about 2.5 times larger in terms of displacement. You should be aware that the Typhoon class is that massive because it's correspondingly large ballistic missiles. For instance, the R-39 missile can be placed aboard a Typhoon. At launch, it weighs 90 tons, including a huge collar from which the missile hangs. The purpose of the hanging is for shock isolation. The huge collar also seals a tube, which aids the gas generator inside to push the missile out. This collar gets discarded along with the missile as it launches. Another missile that works with the Typhoon-class subs is the R-29RM. The R-29RM and R-39 are similar, but the former weighs only 40.3 tons and is only 1.9 meters long. This doesn't use a shock collar. As stated by the American Naval Institute, the massive difference in size between the Russian and United States missiles carried by their subs is due to the differences in the plastics industry's maturity. As a result of its generous size, the Typhoon subs have multiple amenities on board that would be unheard of in any other submarine class. However, some amenities are quite pointless as far as warfare is concerned. For instance, having a sauna, a swimming pool, an aviary, and a waterfall is, well, ridiculous. The demise of the Typhoon-class submarines. As it stands now, there's only one Typhoon submarine still functioning, as others have been either put away or retired. Canadians and Americans have a lot to do with the demise of the subs. And no, it was not during combat. Instead, it all resulted from a START 3 arms reduction deal. In 2012, many of Typhoon's missiles were scrapped with lots of financial help from the United States. However, in 2019, one of Russia's top naval admirals insisted that the Typhoon be loaded with hundreds of cruise missiles. This would essentially give the submarines a new lease on life. However, the plan seemed to have been abandoned. Several class submarines were scrapped with significant financial assistance from Canada and the United States. While it should have given America and NATO an advantage to gain superiority underwater, it didn't. Soon the Russians were back and better with the Belgorod sub. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, Military Technology Updates. Alright soldier, let's get back to the video. Russia versus America. Around the middle of 2019, the Russian Navy dispatched many of its Northern Fleet's operational attack submarines to the upper North Atlantic. Not long after, the United States Navy deployed one of its most capable and secretive attack submarines across the same ocean volume. The sub deployed is called the USS Seawolf. These seemingly separate events were not a coincidence. As one could imagine, Russia had spent decades planning its submarines to control key volumes of the North Atlantic. Likewise, America had spent decades preparing to thwart the Russian plan. America would need the quality service that the Seawolf could offer to do this. 8 Russian ships were sent along with 6 nuclear-powered vessels. All these machines fanned out last year across the Barents and Norwegian seas, where they practiced and prepared to defend Putin's ballistic missiles. The American ships were reportedly designed to penetrate Russian defenses in those same waters. Apparently, this sort of event had happened earlier. A similar event took place back in 1987. Then, the Soviet Navy dispatched 5 new Victor-class attack submarines across the North Atlantic. History repeated itself in 2019 as Russia made a movie under the auspices of Operation Grom. This operation was a 60-day rehearsal for nuclear war, according to reports. First, the Delta IV Karelia-class missile sub-launched what was described as an unarmed ballistic missile from the Barents Sea. The 8 attack ships involved in Moscow's Grom operation practiced protecting the Karelia submarine. This was a standard mode of operation in submarine forces, as it was critical to defend bombers in their strongholds. And Russia's 50-strong attack submarine force did justice to that. There's no denying that Russia's submarine force is arguably the strongest in the world. And with this new gigantic submarine, things just got harder for NATO and its allies. Attack methods of a submarine force. Russia also has strike ships that carry the new non-nuclear Kalibr cruise missile, which can be operated from relatively safe strongholds either in the Barents or Norwegian seas. These ships would strike targets in Central and Northern Europe with relative ease. Also, should Putin need conventional weapons, he could send the attack ships to sail further west. Andrew Lewis, the U.S. Navy Vice Admiral, once stated that the U.S. East Coast was no longer a safe abode for U.S. warships. He further revealed an ever-increasing number of Russian subs deployed in the Atlantic. He also added that the submarines deployed were more capable than ever and operated longer, not to mention they possessed a more lethal weapon system. This kind of issue led the American Navy to conduct an analysis of the capabilities of Soviet submarines in the year 1984. The analysis produced a report that revealed new classes of attack submarines. To complete the investigation and create a defense structure, hunting down Russian subs became the American Navy's sole and major purpose in the war. At that point, there was no use denying the capabilities of Russia and the dire national security consequences it posed. Thus, the U.S. Navy launched a program designed to develop a new hunter-killer attack submarine. This later metamorphosed into the Seawolf submarine mentioned earlier. America also had to upgrade its existing attack ships to operate more safely under the icy waters of Soviet, Russian strongholds. Fast forward to the present day, the Seawolf is one of 3 submarines of her class that participated in the U.S. Navy's final response to Russia's Operation Grom. The submarine surge of Russia in 2019 was shocking. However, Russia's new Belgorod submarine is a much bigger problem for the United States and NATO. If you enjoyed watching videos like this, then leave a like and ensure to subscribe to the channel Military Technology Updates. That way, you don't miss out on our next videos. Alright,